It is such a pleasure to be here. We are here for a fresh start for life, a winning Black women praying, speaking, choosing a fresh start for life media briefing. And so we thank you so much for coming, and I will go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Linda Lee Tarver. I am part of She Leads Michigan, and it gives me great honor to introduce the names of the individuals who will be speaking to you today. They are listed in the press packet, and I will just go over, you'll have their information on who they are, so you can follow me here in order that they will be speaking. First, you will hear from Dr. Alveda King of Alveda King Ministries. Then you'll hear from Reverend Elizabeth Doyle from She Leads America, followed by Dr. Gardner of the National Black Pro-Life Union. And then after her, Angela Stanton King from Auntie Angie's house, followed by Cherilyn Holloway of Pro-Black Pro-Life. Dr. Gloria Purvis, head of the family emergencies, regretfully unable to attend today's briefing. And then you'll hear from Dee Bass Wilbon of Bass Public Affairs. And so, with no further ado, I introduce Dr. Alveda King.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. We are all media influencers. I want to encourage each and every one today to get this out on every platform that is available to you. You have media in the room, and we welcome you today, but let's get this word out. Because we are all influencers, I can't call out everyone's name, so I said, which one will I shout out? And that's Bass Communication. And I'm so grateful. Let's give them a big hand. All right, so we're going to pray the Lord's Prayer, and I'm going to sit down. You'll hear from me later. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Let's remember that. Pray the Lord's Prayer with me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And as I take my seat, we're here for a fresh start for life, winning Black women, all women, not just Black women. We're one blood and one human race. Praying, speaking, choosing a fresh start for life. Abortion is a crime against humanity. Yes. Abortion is unnecessary and should be unthinkable.
Amen.
Amen. Dr. Liz. Reverend Liz.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, my name is Liz Doyle, and I am the founder and executive director of She Leads Michigan and She Leads America. We're launching chapters in 20 more states in 2023 and 24. And I thank everyone for joining us. And first of all, I want to recognize each and every one of you for the amazing work you've been doing protecting life and strengthening families in the communities you represent. In January 2019, I became increasingly alarmed by the policies and demeanor of some of the women who were elected into office in my state of Michigan. It drove me to my knees, and I cried out, Lord, these women do not represent me and the women with my values. Where are the women who love God? And he said to me, it is time for Christian women to rise up and have a voice, and I will give it to them.
That's it. That's it.
In response, we started She Leads America as a movement that honors Christian women, recognizing their accomplishments across all sectors of society. As the women receive tributes from their state or are entered into the Congressional Record of the United States of America, This brings validation and courage to rise up and speak out for biblical values, life being at the core. He is amplifying our united voices from many disciplines, ethnicities, ages, political persuasions, and church denominations to announce his message, finding faith-based solutions to modern-day challenges. Out of our love for him and each other, he is building a mighty company of women in leadership with biblical values, fearless in his perfect love, to see the vulnerable protected, our families thrive, and our nation become great again. We are here today to focus on the pro-life movement in the African American community and the challenges they face. We believe as we link arms together and lock shields for life, this opportunity to amplify our sisters' voices around these issues will prove to be a page turner, moving into the chapter where our culture moves from death to a fresh start for life.
Yes.
The Roe v. Wade decision is a sign that says, with God, all things are possible.
Yes.
It's time for a fresh start for life, a comprehensive, holistic approach, welcoming our babies into loving families, educating our children in godly principles so that they become strong and productive citizens in our nation. We must come together and seek God for his plans and purposes, implementing them through our organizations, working together throughout our communities, bringing all of the collective wisdom that we have gained over the years in the struggle for life, having one strong voice, and sharing our resources to make abortion both unnecessary and unthinkable. Unless the sanctity of human life becomes again a core value in our society, we will continue to experience an increased flow of violence, murder, greed, and evil of all kinds. United in prayer and calling, we will see a fresh start for life celebrated, motherhood elevated, the traditional family restored, with our children and communities safely thriving throughout the nation. Let's go on the offense and offer the alternative to death and destruction. Let's offer life. Together we can build citadels of righteousness as the Lord breaks down the strongholds of the enemy.
I'm Gardner. As a young child, I was a young child when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was killed. In those days, race and lynchings were the hot topic issues of the day. Even so, there was a sense of something very big and very important that was happening all around me. I did not understand then what it all meant or how Dr. King's life and death would impact me. Dr. Martin Luther King unified people in the 1960s, not only Black people. His message was a simple one that broke through color barriers. It was a message of importance of God, family, equality, education, and community. Though you wouldn't know by what you hear in today's media, we have continued to make great strides in breaking down color barriers and the walls of inequality. We became doctors, we became lawyers, educators, movie stars, corporations, conglomerates, members of Congress, and we even had a president. I hear that there's even a Black billionaires club, so things have definitely changed for Black people. I guess many would think we have arrived, but I worry that many of us in the Black community have forgotten what the struggle was all about. In our quest for higher education, bigger houses, better jobs, flashier cars, are we closing our eyes to the fact that well over 1,000 children continue to die each day by the horrible practice of abortion? These children were denied their most basic human right, a right to life. Their civil rights trampled, their precious little bodies discarded like dung. What about the dream Dr. King so proudly worked for, marched for, and ultimately died for?
Yes.
Sadly, when he died, much of the dream died with him. Since that time, more than 60 million children have been killed by abortion. Over 16 million of them were black. Abortion has become the #1 killer of black people, killing more people in this country, more African Americans in this country, than accidents, heart disease, stroke, crimes, HIV, AIDS, and all other deaths combined. It seems we are very quick as a people to recognize racism everywhere else, except the one place that truly affects all of us. Most blacks will agree that racism is still very much alive. Yet say nothing when abortion facilities are purposefully placed in our neighborhoods.
Yes.
Also in the poor communities. More than 37% of all abortions are performed on black women. Abortion is $1 billion a year business. They need us to make their blood money. If we as black people say no to abortion, the industry will cease to exist. I am here today to join with these wonderful women for a fresh start for life. Abortion is a crime against humanity. Abortion is unnecessary and should be unthinkable.
Yes.
Society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind. 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. I do not join in the belief that the African is our equal in brain or in heart.
We are paying for and even submitting to the dictates of an ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all.
The laws of nature require the obliteration of the unfit.
The best way to hate a nigger is to hate him before he is born.
American eugenicists were routinely praising Hitler and holding up the Nazi eugenics program as a model for the United States to copy.
Non-white races must be excluded from America. The red and black races, if left to themselves, revert to a savage or semi-savage state in a short time. The only way possible of decreasing Negro population is by means of controlling fertility. Birth control facilities could be extended relatively more to Negroes than to whites, since Negroes are more concentrated in the lower income and education classes.
We hope that the restraint of population growth can come about through voluntary means. But if it does not, involuntary methods will be used.
There should be national sterilization for certain dystenic types of our population who are being encouraged to breed and would die out were the government not feeding them.
If this movement continues, we soon may be accused of fighting poverty by eliminating the poor and overcoming hunger by removing the hungry.
For all their failures, what the eugenics movement had accomplished was to lay the foundation for the next phase of their plan. And this is where they would find the success that they had been chasing for over 100 years.
I am Angela Stanton King. I am the founder of Auntie Angie's House, and our mission is to eradicate the Black maternal health crisis. I have been blessed tremendously by Dr. Alveda King. And I'm gonna say 19 years ago, I was released from prison, but let me back up a little bit. I went to prison, I was pregnant, and everybody was trying to force me to get an abortion. But I saw value in the life of my unborn child, regardless of my circumstances, and my circumstances were very, very bad at the time, and I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, but I saw light in life. And I ended up giving birth to my daughter chained to a bed with a sheriff watching. And 24 hours later, she was snatched out of my arms, and she was given to my mother. And 6 months after that, my mother died. And 6 months after my mother died, my grandmother died. And then another 6 months went by, and I ended up getting released from prison with a $25 check and a bus ticket. And the only thing I had waiting on me was 2 tombstones, one that held my mother up underneath one and my grandmother under the other, and I had 4 children. And I had 3 bags of clothes and absolutely nowhere to go. I ended up going from shelter to shelter until my max out date, because not only was I a single mother, but I was also a convicted felon. So at that time, I wasn't allowed to get certain resources like Section 8 and welfare and things like that because I had been labeled a convicted felon. So on my last day at the last shelter, because there were only 3 in Atlanta that would take women and children, a lady gave me a token and she says, I know a place that you can go and you can get help. So I took that token, I packed my babies up, I packed up my 3 garbage bags full of clothes, and I caught the bus all the way across town and I went to this Women and Children's Crisis Center looking for help. And I walked in, but before I walked in, I had already made up my mind that if I didn't get help that day, I was gonna take my life. And I was so tricked by the devil that not only was I gonna take my life, but I was planning on taking my children with me. And I walked in the desk and I'm crying out to this lady and I'm like, look, I just need a little bit of help. And I had no idea that the lady sitting behind the desk that day was Dr. Evangelist Alveda King. And needless to say, I got all the help that I needed. The apartment, I got on my feet. I've been working with her for the past 20 years. And I asked her that day, I said, what can I do to repay you? She says, I don't want anything from you. She says, the only thing I want from you is for you to one day be to someone else who I am to you today. Amen. Auntie Angie's house is a place of refuge, help, hope, and healing for women that found themselves in circumstances just like me. We don't care what your color, your skin is. All we want to do is save the life of the baby and change the life of the mother. Give them the resources and the help that they need in order to become financially stable, in order to become mentally stable, in order to become happy and whole, so that we can serve the mother and the child and just get them back on track. I am today to a lot of women. Through the grace of God, He's allowed me. We're on baby 73. We're on baby 73 Auntie Angie's house is doing very, very well. I thank everybody for the support. We want to give women a real choice, and I'm wrapping up now. When they say, let's give women a choice, why is it in Black communities that the only choice that we have, or the only place that we have to go to is Planned Parenthood? We want an Auntie Angie's house everywhere that there's a Planned Parenthood. We can really, truly give them a choice. We want to save lives and change lives. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cherilyn Holloway. I am the founder and president of Pro Black, Pro Life. And had I known what Angela was going to say, I would have petitioned it for her. It's very, very moving. I created Pro Black, Pro Life out of a sense of loneliness. I was raised in Oberlin, Ohio, where the famous Oberlin College is. We were raised to learn about the Underground Railroad, as we were a part of it, and to fight racial equality. So when I heard about the abortion statistics in the Black community, I couldn't understand why it wasn't part of the conversation. I'm not confrontational by nature, but if you choose to nut, be prepared to buck. I will not back down. And so I had no problem walking into my local barbershop, because that's where the haircuts are cheaper, asking if they knew about the abortion statistics, asking how they felt about them. And it was always the same answer: the numbers don't lie. It makes perfect sense. But the reality is, people in my community would only think about abortion if someone was pregnant. The topic did not come up for them as much as it came up to me, as I was the director of a pregnancy center in my area. It's all I think about. And so I had to figure out how to deliver this message directly to my community in a way that they would listen and engage. Immediately using the word pro-life, I was chopped up into these little boxes of things that they assumed about me that 99% of them were actually wrong. And I was able to build relationships where they could actually hear from me and understand. But I also heard from them. And what I heard from them was, from what we see and hear, to be pro-life is to be anti-Black. And so knowing what I knew, knowing the beautiful people in this room, people that I had met along the way, I knew that wasn't true. So in 2020, after George Floyd's murder, I woke up, sat straight up, and the Lord said the time is now. And pro-Black, pro-life was created. I wanted my community to understand that you could work for the equity of racial justice and simultaneously be pro-life.
Yes.
That they are not in some way against each other. And what I found from doing trainings at Black churches, walking through the neighborhoods of St. Louis, standing on the corners talking to random people, as my husband disdains. My community is overwhelmingly pro-life.
We are.
So what we are doing now with Pro-Black, Pro-Life, we are stepping onto historically Black colleges and universities. And we are engaging the students. We are hosting panel discussions of some of the people you see here, Gloria Purvis, Christina Bennett, who's sitting there, moderated by Lakita Garth-Wright. If you look her up, if you don't know who she is, she's a powerhouse.
She's our keynote.
And we are having these conversations one-on-one. And we are like aunties and mamas out there talking to these babies. And we have Trinity Wicker, who's out there, who's talking to them like best friends. So we just want you all to know that we are here and we are not backing down and we are not going anywhere.
Praise the Lord.
In my fear, I believed a lie all those years. I was trying to hide away, ashamed of the light of day. Made a choice, thinking I'd be free, but that choice, it imprisoned me in my shame. Till I stepped into the light of God's love, the healing began. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no more. Love broke through to the heart of me. Now the truth has come and set me free from the past. When I stepped into the light of God's love, forgiven at last, I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no more. There is power in our story, freedom from this night. There
my chair partners back there were praying over my knee. Verbally is the soul of wit, so I'm going to be really short because I'm hot. I'm going through personal moments myself, so but I'm honored to be here with all of you lovely people today. This is a blessing, this is just awesome, and it simply confirms that you are among the journalists who want to share the full coverage of opinions about abortion. Speaking with Dr. King, she mentioned to me that media outlets are reaching out to her that have not normally reached out to her before, and that is a blessing. There are two areas that I believe don't receive the spotlight that they deserve. First, the attacks on the pro-life organizations and individuals has gone largely underreported. I do believe that if the reverse were true, there would be more coverage. Second, reports often say that most Americans think that abortion should be legal. However, it is also important to be nuanced and more specific in coverage. Most Americans do not believe in abortion on demand and after 3 months. Again, your very presence here is so encouraging, and I think it's absolutely a blessing to have all of you here. I thank Dr. King, I thank all of the amazing women and all the amazing organizations are represented, and I thank God for today and for the blessing and for all the babies that we are going to save. I didn't start off by saying my name is Dee Dee Bass Wilbon with Bass Public Affairs, and this is my sister Dina Bass Williams. So thank you so much, and I know now we're going to open it up and have Mrs. Tarver come back up to open it up for questions.
In this nation to bring forward, and the Christian women in this nation are of all ethnicities. He loves us all equally. We're right in the equal rights because he has given us the right to be daughters of the Most High God. And so he's called us together to walk together, to link arms, to lock shields as we go forward for life in this nation, for our families. It's about the women of God, and we have life, and we offer that life to everyone else, and we offer opportunity to join us, to everybody in this nation. So that's why you see this, is because we're all sisters. Amen.
Say, Gardner, do you have anything to add to that?
I think she said.
All right. Yes, sisters. Are there any other media questions, or if you had another, we certainly.
One follow-up.
Absolutely.
Again, when you think about, and I've been covering this for 20 years, like I said, I've had an amputation. Okay. But when you think about now, this is something called the olive branch moment, because the tables have turned on the local levels from DC and other cities. How are the national leadership, or even from church to church, reaching across the line and say, hey, it's time for us to come together?
What do you mean the tables have turned?
What I'm saying is now that the Supreme Court decision is reversed, Roe versus Wade, what opportunities do you all see now in terms of olive branch and together? Yes.
We've got a handout in our packet, and I'll give you some examples. What can we do right now? When he means the tide has turned, it actually has. America is now listening. And at the top it says, America agrees. 71% of Americans support legal limits on abortion, while only 17% of voters believe abortion should be allowed at any time. And that's from a Rasmussen poll. Now, it wasn't like that a few years ago. The tide honestly has turned. And real quick, this is in here. What can I do now? Demand protections and the right to know for women. Chemical abortion kills hurt women. Build stronger families where parents can raise children in a loving home. Protect our children. Give every child from the womb to the tomb and beyond the equal opportunity to experience the American dream. Contact your elected officials today. Demand that they legislate for equality and life for everyone. And this means vote. To Christians, voting is of the devil, or voting is of the world. I'm gonna stay at home and pray. Oh my goodness. Encourage community leaders to support and uphold the value of women, children, families, and life. One blood, one human race. Support human dignity from the womb to the tomb. And that you can find that home.
I wanted to pose a question. I know Erin Mercino from Michigan is here. She's an attorney with and part of She Leads Michigan. What exactly happened a year ago with the overturning of Wade legally?
So legally, the Supreme Court held. The Supreme Court held that there wasn't a 14th Amendment substantive due process right to abortion in the United States Constitution. So it left the question then up to states individually.
Thank you. Are there any other media that would like to ask the question? Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Braxton Booker from Politico. Just a question for all the speakers here. I mean, obviously there's a big faith forum going on at the Washington Hilton as we're speaking now. But I'm curious, do you feel like there's sufficient support throughout, the conservative movement for Black voices to be uplifted in this conversation about pro-life? Because usually when we see the speakers that or the surrogates for this movement, they typically are white voices, white
I
faces.
spoke this morning to two black brothers who went before me. Can you remember the congressman?
Byron Downs.
Byron
Yes.
Downs.
Yeah.
And a pastor named John, African last name, they fired it up. I said, Lord, they talking about Juneteenth? At this meeting? Are you kidding me? They fired it totally up. So it's not a white, conservative, old white men in the back room with cigars movement. It is not. But just like they just lied all the abortion statistics and told all the lies. Do you see all of us in here?
Nice.
You one of the sponsors, Karen. Did you want to say anything? You can if you want to.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see
Michigan, what's your organization?
Black Americans for Life.
She's in here. And so I just happened to look over there, but many of us. But we're one blood, one race. And you should have been there. I mean, the guys fired it up. Some of the people who were there are here now. So it's not like that. It just isn't.
So I want to add in that I am delighted. I'm involved in politics. I consider myself a conservative, and I have seen the movement in terms of for life primarily from Caucasian brothers and sisters for life. And I lament the fact that the people who look like me and my family have not yet come to the table enough. So in terms of the Faith and Freedom Conference that is happening at the Hilton, those individuals, I can assure you, majority of them, those individuals are in support of what we're doing here and of life. When Martin Luther King wrote in his letter from the Birmingham jail, he was looking for his white Christian brothers to come alongside of him. In this cause, we have white Christian sisters and brothers who've already been on the battlefield for life with us here. As a matter of fact, this media briefing was a result of my leader in She Leads America hearing me lament and cry on the phone about Michigan. 7% are Black women in Michigan. We make up 56% of the abortions in Michigan. And I was crying on a prayer call. And this woman decided that we will have a briefing so that we can not lament privately, but to proclaim publicly and not back down. And so there is support from the Christian community, conservative community to seek life and pursue life and lock shields with us. Yes.
And that's not going to be what you see from today. Okay? The Lord spoke to me and he said it's time now for those voices to be heard. That's why we're here. It's not going to be like it anymore. And the people that are going to lead us into life are going to be the minority groups in this nation. Led, first of all, by the African American population. They're going to stand up and they're going to start speaking, and they're going to be seen, and the other people that have been in the forefront are going to defer to them and invite them up from this day. And that's my challenge to all of those who are in the pro-life movement. They are going to defer. They're going to give their place at the table to the African Americans, to the Hispanic population, to the indigenous population, and to the immigrant population in this nation who hold and are firmly, their whole culture is a culture of family, an extended family. And it has been robbed by the culture here and the white elitists. I will say that. And they have brought this whole death culture into this nation. And I'm telling you now, it's going to come back through these minority groups for such a time as this. Yes! Our kingdom is the kingdom of God that He wants to be manifested here in our presence because He loves us. Yes. The Bible says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only Son so that we don't have to give our sons and daughters. He gave them so that we can have life. And that people who have had abortions can receive forgiveness and life. That guilt can be taken from them. And those who have given abortions too can come to the cross and be forgiven. And this thing can turn around. But it can only turn around if God turns it around. And He will. And in this next election, I would suggest both parties, they need to reconsider where they stand on life. Come on. I don't care who they are. But they need to make a stand to save this nation.
This ain't the same rhetoric. Rhetoric.
Yes.
The lions are roaring.
Yes. Any other questions? We'd love to hear from the media for answer all of your questions. Please do not leave without getting any and all questions answered. If we sound like we're having church in here, it's just because we don't separate, we don't lay down the cross of Jesus for any type of reason. We are children of the Most High God, 24/7, 365. And that is who we are. Unashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And unashamed to be pro-life.
That's right.
In this time, in this day. And that's not politics. That's just what the Lord says. And we trust and believe it. Are there any other questions from the media? If not, we have had questions. We are excited about the numerous Black pro-life organizations and coalitions that support us in this effort. And there are some of those organizations that sent in questions, and I wanted to pose some of those questions to our speakers. And Dr. King, first question is to you. What are the side effects of abortion and the effects of the abortion pill?
Unfortunately, my brothers and sisters, I did experience abortions and the side effects. I never took the pill, thank God, because that's the way to go. But depression, drug addiction, I had damage done to my body with the abortions that caused a miscarriage. And for many years, and every once in a while now, I'm forgiven. But I think about those little babies, little boy, I go through that now. And the worst thing about this pill, though, and there are medical people here who can confirm this, these ladies take the pill, they go home. And they are wrong through excruciating pain. And the child does leave their body and not living. And they have to have a funeral in their bathroom or wherever they are. And then it goes on and on. So it's very devastating. That's why Silent No More the video, God forgave me. God loves me. And He has forgiven me. But He let me get my vengeance on the devil by getting up and proclaiming the truth and rescuing others. So there are many terrible side effects. And a lot of times that's hidden. I see, and you're a man too, Median. fathers regret lost fathers.
Yeah.
And they get drugs, go commit crimes, go to jail, all kinds of things, because they know that they have participated willingly or unwillingly. There are many of things.
Thank you. Reverend Liz Doyle, as a missionary and evangelist who's traveled to more than 60 countries, what has been your experiences and understanding on the abortion outside of the United States?
I'm just going to read a statement, okay, that I wrote, because I want to get this right. As I've traveled the world, I've found that there is an increased unease at the laws being passed by the United States government and how they foist their paternalistic, colonialist values upon them. The callous way we view life, aborting babies up to and beyond birth, is seen as barbaric. I've been to 60 nations, all right? That's South America, Central America, Asia, Africa, right across the world. I talked to a Swedish journalist last year, and she said, she goes, I'm liberal, but I can't believe how far America has gone. In Europe, they are appalled at what we're doing. In most countries, children are valued. The birth of a baby is celebrated. Children are desired and cherished, not thrown out because they're inconvenient or unwanted. Children are the continuity of the family line and the hope for the future. And that's what it should be here. We are become barbaric and we no longer have the moral high ground. I'm sorry, but we need to change.
Amen.
What do you tell women who've had abortions seemingly without regret? And how do you share the pro-life message with children and our grandchildren?
Well, first of all, let me just say, I remember I was speaking at the University of Virginia some years ago, and I was at a lecture hall, and as I was trying to make my way beeline to the door because I had spoken, I was ready to get out of there, and a long drive ahead of me. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And this young woman whispered and said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. So I kind of went with it. She called me over to a corner and she whispered, she said, "I just want you to know, this was a beautiful girl in college, University of Virginia, very professionally dressed. She's just gorgeous." And she said, "I just want you to know, I've had an abortion." And she said, "Maybe some people have regretted it. I don't. It was necessary for me because I wanted a career." I think she wanted to be a lawyer or something. And then she said her boyfriend wanted to be a basketball player, and he just, neither one of them just said, "We can have a family some other time if we stay together, but for now, this was the best thing for me." And she was like doing all this whispering to me. And I just stood and listened to her, and I said, "Well, sweetheart," I said, "if you don't mind, if it didn't hurt you, didn't bother you at all, why are we over here in the corner whispering?"
Yeah.
And she was quiet for a few minutes, and then her bottom lip started to quiver. I thought, oh no, people are going to think I smacked the girl or something. but I did. I looked at her and I said, and I just grabbed her and I said, "It's okay." I said, "This is not the unforgivable sin. This is not the unforgivable sin. God can forgive even this, as horrible as it is. He can forgive this too." And I gave her my card. She was cool. By this time I was all choked up. And she walked out the door. I said, "Call me. I want to talk to you. Call me." I never heard from her. So I don't know what happened. But the thing is, there are a lot of people who will say to you, "Look, and I think this in the March for Life and Alveda has, I'm proud of mine. I have no. But the reason that they say that is because how else do you live with the fact that you allowed your very own child to be killed? How do you live with that? The only way to live with that is to say, yeah, I wanted to. It was okay." And the other question, the other part,
talking to your children and grandchildren.
I have a son, and the thing is, I think it's very important to be as open and honest with it. We think, oh, we have to talk to the girls, Yeah, and I've heard so many people say, "Oh, tell the girls that to watch the drinks and everything because of state rape and all that type of thing. Keep their legs closed and the craziest things." And the thing is, I think, well, what do you tell your boys? I think the best thing to tell, what I told my son when he was like about 14 years old, we had to talk before then. What you say, "Mom, that's gross." But the thing is that when he got older, I said, what the most important thing is that if something should happen, first of all, I told him that children the idea of children was created by God for people to marry and have families, to procreate. That's what sex is all about. But I said, you know what, if you're not ready to be a father, then you should reconsider and you find something else to do. Your recreation should be something else. I said, because if there's a mistake that you think is a mistake, or a young lady thinks is a mistake, that's my grandchild. I don't care what the age is, whatever. Yes, you're too young. But if it happens, that's my family. And that's your family. And you know what? Don't be one of those mothers who say, well, then if that happens, then it's all on the girls. Oh, my God, if you put school. No. You stick by your child.
That's right. That's right.
You stick by your child if they got into a bad accident. Something like that happens, you say, I will stick by you until death. I will help you with this child. I will help you. I will be the grandmother I need to be. I prefer it be in God's time. But if it happened before then I'm going to still be there with you.
Thank you. Michigan taxpayers, and there's other states, are required now to pay for abortions and transition surgeries and gender-affirming care. Would you support taxpayer-funded services in states for pregnant women and for life and family?
Of course I would support paying taxes for pregnant women and families, because that's what we need. Those agendas are about depopulation and totally against life. Anytime you see an agenda where they are sexually transitioning children, we know that it leads to sterilization. We also know that 2 men can't make a baby, and neither can 2 women make a baby. And this is all about, what did the word say? Because many of us in here are Christians. It says, be fruitful and multiply. Everything that is on this earth has to live and die. Everything has to reproduce. So it is our job to keep the reproduction going. So, absolutely.
Thank you. Question for Cherilyn. Holloway. The Harvard, October 21st, 2022, Harvard School of Public Health reports homicide is the #1 cause of death for pregnant women. Young pregnant family member of mine was murdered in Chicago by the baby's father. What solutions can we offer to save the life of both the unborn and the mother, especially in the Black community?
You said what? Number one, we have to be willing to up our ante when it comes to domestic violence in our states. I know in the state of Ohio, how we protect women from domestic violence is a joke. The restraining orders are not upheld. We need to be willing to add this to part of our advocacy. We need to be willing to add maternity houses, but other houses for women who have children in these areas. We need to be willing to go in the area where these things are happening and build these houses. There's a lot of beautiful things happening in the suburbs, but we need to be willing to go into the battleground and solve these issues with housing and solutions, practical as well as legislative, to really help these women out of these situations.
Thank you so much. Do you have a video right now?
This video, Stace, this is it. Yeah, this will kind of close us out.
Thank you. And thank you so much for coming. God bless.
Before we get into the resistance aspect of being a pro-lifer, I think we first need to know why I decided to get involved in this movement in the first place. I grew up in a Christian household, and the topic of abortion never really came up. It was shortly after hearing my parents' story about their impact of abortion that my views started to truly shift.
Pastor Michael Wicker, I'm 52 years old. I'm married. We've been married now for 30 years. Been together for over 37 years. We have 6 children.
And I'm Tyra Wicker. I also serve as co-director for Louisiana Black Advocates for Life, but more recently came on as the Capital Region Director for Louisiana.
You know, to watch, you know, the drinks and everything because of state rape and all that type of thing, keep your legs closed, and the craziest things. And the thing is, I think, well, what do you tell your boys? Mm-hmm. I think the best thing to tell, what I told my son when he was like about 14 years old, we had a talk before then, which he was saying, "Ew, Mom, that's gross." But the thing is that when he got older, I said, you know what, the most important thing is that if something should happen, first of all, I told him that children, the idea of children was created by God for people to marry and have families, to procreate. Amen. That's what sex is all about.
Amen. Yes.
But I said, you know what, if you're not ready to be a father, then you should reconsider and find something else to do. Your recreation should be something else. I said, because if there's a mistake that you think is a mistake, or a young lady thinks is a mistake, that's my grandchild. I don't care what the age is or whatever. Yes, you're too young. But if it happens, that's my family. And that's your family. And you know what? Don't be one of those mothers who say, well, then if that happens, then it's all on the girl, it's all on the guy, you have to quit school. No. You'd stick by your child if they were crime. You stick by your child if they got into a bad accident. Something like that happens, you say, I will stick by you until death. I will help you with this child. I will help you. I will be the grandmother I need to be. I prefer it be in God's time. But if it happened before then I'm going to still be there with you.
Thank you.
I'm laughing because I had no idea that video was even going to be playing. I'm just here sneaking in the back. I'm really, really grateful and honored to be here. I never thought this time last year I would even be here. It's really God moving in my life, y'all. Like I really can't even begin to explain what's been going on in my life. I've just been asking God. Last year I remember asking him what was my purpose and how I could connect my passions with my purpose. And as soon as I asked that prayer, he started moving, and I was just along for the ride. So I attended Pulse, as y'all saw, and I learned, and I was able to train with other people in this movement to equip me with the influence that I have personally to make a difference in this world. And my mom and my dad are big supporters of everything that I'm doing, and I'm just really here to help and protect women and babies and just do it all for the glory of God. So I'm just honored to be here, and thank y'all.
This is the end of our official meeting.
There are extra packets, maybe.
And there's extra packets.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. It says, be gracious unto you. Lord, thank you. We're already on fire again, enlightened, and the young people are here with us. We're grateful. We have the blended community that's going to look like this in heaven, one blood and one race, one human race. So we will continue to go forth, Lord. Bless the media who did come, and let them proclaim. Bless every influencer in this room, and let us use these platforms for your glory. And we give you all the honor and glory and praise and thanksgiving in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.